Hello and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI Tournament. This is Nightcat, your host for this week, and for our first game, looking at not more recently, but bots that have been updated through the week, we have Halpan, who received at least one update this week, spawning in the top right of Jade as the Yellow Terran, up against Tomas Vida, the carrier bot, as it's better known, down and the bottom left of Jade as the brown Protoss. It is better known as, well, not better known as, but known as the carrier bot because it pretty much has one way of playing, which is forge fast, expand, and get enough cannons to try and survive, and then go ahead and get carriers, and then skirt them along the edge of the map to your opponent. Which for bots, if they are not prepared for it, can definitely take them by surprise. Now, we do have Tomas Vida has scouted Halpan. Halpan does have a scout of his own now out, still not sure where Tomas is. And actually, just as a quick note, Tomas is so known for going carriers that some bots will just program a hard counter if playing this opponent. Just smash, the build that, or counter the build that it does as hard as possible, because they know they don't have to worry about potential something else happening. Halpan did find where Tomas is, and if you notice too that Halpan did not get even a single Marine. I am wondering about these SCVs that are just kind of chilling at the main command center here, which is a little bit odd to see. There we go. They were getting ready to be part of an attack group, it looks like, or perhaps they just moved over to the expansion when it finished. And now Halpan is already moving out to apply pressure onto these cannons well before the first carrier can start. We do not have a fleet beacon under construction just yet. Gonna go ahead and siege. SCVs are maybe gonna pop into range of a cannon here and there. That one gets damaged and decides that it wants to run all the way home instead of just getting a quick repair, or perhaps it decided that it was not needed. This doesn't look like it's going to go well for Tomas, with nothing to counter the cannons at the moment. Meanwhile, back home, we did get a bunker up front after lifting the barracks, or perhaps prior to lifting the barracks, the Marines were made and then the axe was lifted. Actually kind of wondering where that Rax is at the moment. I don't... Oh, okay, I went back to the main. So we're getting more factories. We are getting Goliaths. So it looks like Halpan is one of those spots that has like a hard counter ready for Tomas to get that early tank pressure when there is nothing to counter the tanks, and then get Goliaths just in case the fleet beacon finishes and a carrier or two pops out. Just one carrier for Goliath should be more than enough to handle that force. I also love how the ground units are staying out of the range of the cannons, not taking unnecessary hits. They are backing up before entering the range of the cannons, so that is nice to see. And then Tomas trying to lay down some more cannons, but really that's just kind of wasting money, although I guess it is slowing down the assault a little bit. Now going after the pylon with a Goliath that can get in there. So this game looks like it's going to handily go over for Halpan. Meanwhile, Halpan has taken a third, is mining up other expansions. Again, that's something that you tend to see with bots that, or in bot games that they play. They will continue to do everything that is part of their plan, instead of just being like, well, I won, so I'm just going to focus in on this, and, I'm not going to take a third because why would I do that? I'm winning. There's no fatigue that a bot player feels. So they're still able to, every game, give it their 100%. The Goliaths chasing the carriers. And it's got actually a decent carrier count, but it's not going to be enough at this point for it to be able to do anything. So it looks like we'll have a quick first game here. We'll let Halpan get the cleanup here. I don't know if Tomas has any GG early leaving logic. This is also not to say that Tomas is in any way not a formidable opponent either. If you're not countering, like if you look at the carrier micro, it's not that bad. So if you don't do something to counter it and you let it get its carriers, it will eventually expand into a third and even a fourth base. It will keep pumping out those carriers along with an observer with them, and you could easily get into an unfavorable situation. And like these carriers, for instance, they're just kind of tying up these Goliaths because they're using the edges very nicely. But with the main shutdown here, the natural shutdown, there is no income to keep producing the interceptors, and so they're just not able to hold out for all that long. So we'll just speed this up a little bit here as the final buildings fall for Tomas. GG for both bots. And for our next game here, we have Ho Park, which was updated at least once this week, in the top right as the brown Zerg, going up against Insanity Bot, the orange Terran in the top left of Andromeda, which is a 4-player space map, which has this little section here that is blocked off by 2 neutral buildings, but that little section is basically just high ground. There's no way to access it except for destroying those buildings, which is only accessible through the main, or dropping units there. There's also these expansions that can only be reached by dropship, with a little mineral patch here that's a 0 mineral patch that has to be mined away before you can place a resource depot here, which typically in bot games you don't get to see used because it's a bit of a complex setup to try and get your bot to be able to effectively use it. Now, we did have scouting where Ho Park went to the bottom left, did not find anything, and has now found Insanity Bot. And Insanity Bot has met the Zerglings of Ho Park, but I don't know if we actually noticed that that is Ho Park's main. Once the Zerglings get here, I'll go ahead and slow it down because we'll have a little bit of action going on. As Insanity Bot does try to get a bunker up, but it's going to be met by the Zerglings, who are going to destroy the SCV and then target it. I can't tell if that was canceled or actually got destroyed. Now, I do like that the Marines are trying to fall back and do perhaps a little bit of kiting to deal with the Zerglings, but the one got stuck there on the barracks, and now the rest are being hunted down, and now the SCVs, the worker defense, is having to come in to deal with the Zerglings, taking a lot of losses here, as some of the SCV defense there could have been a little bit more coordinated, targeting that Marine, but he happens to live. And it looks like Insanity Park will survive this, but taking a lot of economic damage here. Now, Ho Park is a newer bot that we were introduced to last week by Sonko. Don't have any additional information on the bot. There was no new information added. Oh, there's still two Zerglings causing some trouble. And we've got 2 new Zerglings coming in, too, to get to cause some pain in here. But yeah, so the SSCAIT page was not updated with any new information. But Insanity Bot is a bot from actually the Steamhammer family. Or, well, not family, but it was forked from Steamhammer. So it is related to that. Now, there are no more Marines. There is no more production of Marines. I think Insanity Bot's economy has been damaged, perhaps beyond repair, especially if these last SCVs fall, and there is one under construction, and another one under construction, but now we're out of money up, and Insanity Bot's going to tap out. So very well played by Ho Park there, back home, not having to get anything beyond, actually that might have been, was that a 4-pull? I didn't think that was, but that might have actually been a 4-pull. So very well played by Ho Park there, and taking the win with it. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game. And with that game concluded, we are out of bots that have been updated for this week, so now we'll just take a random smattering of games from throughout the week. So for our first one of these, we have a bot that is, I believe, actually called Juno Bot, despite its name on the SSCAIT ladder. The name is I believe, the programmer behind the bot, Yuanheng Zhu. I apologize if I have butchered that pronunciation. The bot does have connections to the Institute of Automation. The Chinese Academy of Sciences, or CASIA for short. It is a bot that, as we will see here, likes to cannon rush its opponents, going up against Chris Cokes, which also known as ZZZ bot or ZZZK bot. Another one where the bot has a name other than what is used on the ladder typically, which likes to, as we can see here, 5-pull or 4-pull, and then it will transition out of that over time. But a nice little extractor trick there to get an extra Zergling out, but I don't think this is going to end very well, although they might be able to defend this, because I think he is trying to get another pylon here. The Zerglings are being pulled back to try and take care of this. Both pylons finished, but now there's no probe and no cannons being constructed. So Juno could use this as an opportunity to plop some cannons down potentially in transition, which if its cannon rush fails enough, it will eventually transition to that. And there is a probe over here. Okay, it is getting a pylon, but now the main is going to fall. It looks like it was going to try and get a cannon, but I think it's too late at this point, so 4-pull beats cannon rush, as we can see here. We'll go ahead and speed this up a little bit. And there's just the pylon there, and with that we'll go ahead and jump into the next game. And for our next game we have a couple of staples in the community. We have TSC Mu playing as Terran at the bottom of Destination, spawning as the green Terran, and Tier Protoss as the teal Protoss up at the top of Destination, going ahead and immediately mining out the 0 mineral hatches that block one of the entrances to its main, which is probably a bit questionable strategy-wise, but it's probably just a hard-coded thing. If my main has these, let's get rid of them as soon as we can, just to get them out of the way, because sometimes you will see, if you don't clear that out, and say you issue a move order to the back corner expansion, either that one or that one, depending on which one is your main, from your main, it's going to just get stuck pathing in a way that it can't reach there, which you also see happen on Benzene, although I think Benzene is a neutral building instead of minerals being in the way. So TSCMU is going off in scouting very early for a 2-player map, but seeing what's up in Tier Protoss's base. Tier Protoss going for a quick expansion, not doing a forge expand or anything like that. TSCMU getting his first Marine, going ahead and now getting his factory while getting another supply depot here. I like the layout of the base here. This allows him to actually use his Marines in a way, there we go, if I can zoom in, where he can actually move the Marines in between the barracks and the command center, where Protoss Zealots cannot in case of early Zealot pressure. And this additional supply depot here just creates another potential barrier for the Zealots to have to deal with, while the Marines are able to get free shots off on the Zealot or Zealots without being at risk. Now we are seeing a second and a third factory go down, so this looks like it's going to be a very aggressive build from TSC Mu, which is probably a good response to the fast expand Nexus first that we saw from Tier Protoss. Tier Protoss is going to take a little bit longer to get an army up and running due to this expansion, so hopefully the quick army and explosion of macro buildings, as we're now getting an armory for upgrades for TSC Mu, will be able to pay off, but not running in with the vultures, although there are 2 dragoons, so they should be able to hold off slow moving vultures. It looks like they backed up to go ahead and set up a minefield as mine's finished, and Speed is now researching. Looks like they're going to try and see if they can get an avenue to harass some probes, but not quite going to be able to do it. Going to go ahead and still try and poke these dragoons, but the dragoons should be able to deal with it. I believe that vultures do less damage due to their weapon type against the dragoons once their shields are gone, as shields will take full damage no matter what the weapon type is, whereas I believe the vultures take full damage from dragoons. I might be wrong on that, but that is what I think is the case. Now we do have 3 turrets up from TSC Mu towards the front. I'm not sure exactly what that is defending against. That could be a defense against Dark Templars, potentially, as well as the minefield up at the front. We also see that TSC Mu has removed its mineral patch as well from its main, while Tier Protoss is gathering its forces at the front of its natural. And behind that, we do have a robotics bay. We now have Reavers, well, a Reaver out, and it looks like another one in production. Weapon upgrades going on for Tier Protoss. I don't see any upgrades currently happening for TSC Mu, so I'm not sure. Looks like the armory may have been for Goliaths, probably to defend against potential Reaver drops. So I did hear a ComSat scan just go off just a little bit ago, but it seems like TSC Mu is doing a lot of blind counters just in case my Protoss opponent does something, which, depending on how skilled your Protoss opponent is, can end up costing you if you are doing those blind, where you go to counter a move that your opponent's not, which means less resources to actually counter the move that your opponent is indeed making. So we've got just the nice vulture field here. We've got a Goliath coming up to join in. We don't see any tanks up there. Okay, we are starting to see tanks now. So if TSC Mu is able to get a line here, it's going to be very hard for Tier Protoss to move out across these, but Tier Protoss is deciding to move out before the tanks can get themselves set up, which is great to see. Going to go ahead and push through the middle. TSC Mu's army getting a little out of disarray. That tank getting destroyed by the Zealot before they clean up this. Oh, the mines here. We'll go ahead and slow down just a little bit here, because there is a lot going on in the field here right now. A lot of mines down. There is no observer for Tier Protoss, so being this aggressive may not have been the best choice, but I think that tank got taken out by the mines. That one Dragoon there that I just selected was trying to dodge. They are trying to back up, but the mines dealing a lot of damage. Only got one, but a lot of the life out of those Dragoons was taken away. And oh, another Dragoon falls to the mines, but able to push all the way into the natural. I don't think, yeah, there's no Marines in the bunker at the moment. Continuing to push, continuing to build, pumping 8 Dragoons right now. I would love to see Tier Protoss take an expansion behind this, but really with the number of gates, this is just a 2-base push. This is an attempt to win this game right here. But I don't know, they're probably going to break this natural, but with the tanks on the high ground, I don't know if they can push into the main. So this seems to have been perfectly timed. This is kind of what I was talking about here, because with putting your eggs in every basket, then the baskets that you need not having enough eggs when the time comes. So Tier Protoss moved out of the natural just as TSC Mu is getting tanks up to the front of those bridges. And if instead of getting Goliaths for potential Reaver drops that never happened, if he had transitioned straight into tanks, he would have had tanks up there already. There was already 1 or 2 Goliaths there when the push came. Those could have been tanks instead of Goliaths. But instead, we're in the situation that we're in right now, where we have the natural of TSC Mu has been cleared out. Tier Protoss is trying to march up the ramp here, losing a lot of units, but taking out that natural is a big win. Now, TSC Mu has sneakily set up a third here with those mineral patch removed. He was able to get his SCVs just around the path there. But now we have Tier Protoss pushing up the ramp. He is slowly making progress, but it seems like the Zealots they're kind of conga line in here, where they're getting stuck behind the slower moving Dragoons. We'll see if this attack peters out enough that TSC Mu is able to stabilize, since he does have the sneaky second base. It would be great if Tier Protoss were able to scout that and take that out. That would really work in his favor. But I think in the end he's going to be able to win this, because TSC Mu just mainly working off of one oversaturated base. This base is slowly saturating, so he might be able to hold this off. It's going to be close, though. Both economies are going to be equal pretty soon here, but there's going to be a lot of damage on this main. So we'll go ahead and speed this up just a little bit again. This has been a really great game to watch so far. That Dragoon was kind of fogging up there. Now TSCMU going to go ahead and try and take back control of his ramp, moving his tanks more forward, trying to use that high ground to its advantage. That uplifting that to get it out of the way. The Dragoon's just not able to get up. TSCMU is really just committing all in to this 2-base play here. Really just trying to take it, and it looks like, oh, and the tanks fall. It looks like with those fallen tanks, there are still 2, though, in play back, and a third one just pops out now, targeting the Reaver. The Goon's trying to take out the tanks. I don't know if TSCMU is going to be able to recover from this. It did relocate that supply, or that Star Depot. Starport. So much going on, my brain is struggling to think of the names of things right now. Trying to move back up to take this ramp back over, but it looks like he's not quite going to be able to. There are a few Dragoons that are sitting back home just to make sure that everything is going well there, making sure the probes are doing their thing. But now TSCMU's, or Tier Protoss's economy is going to run out soon. He has not discovered this base by TSCMU, and TSCMU is setting up a third. It could be possible. I know it looks like TSCMU just does not quite have the income. I mean, all the SCVs are going to, now that the minerals are gone, they're trying to go to another base. TSCMU might find the other bases at this point. Trying to long distance mine that natural. Oh, but no, Tier Protoss's economy is gone. TSCMU might pull this game off. Tier Protoss never transitioned into getting an expansion, and then TSCMU was able to weather the storm, the onslaught of Protoss units, and just barely hung on with its secret second base. If it wasn't able to get that secret second base, I don't think that TSCMU would have held on like this. And now it's reestablishing its natural. Tier Protoss is mined out. He is not long distance mining. He never got a third. Man, such a good game though. So now it's just a waiting game for TSCMU to build up enough army to decide to move in, but it is entirely possible the game... Oh, okay. I was going to say, it would have been entirely possible for the game to end on a score, which I'm not sure whose favor that would have gone into if units had not died in time. And so now TSCMU is taking over the map, moving into the main with its army. Tier Protoss, seeing that the game is done, goes ahead and taps out. What a fantastic game that was between these two opponents. So now we have a ZVZ. We have Yellow Steamhammer Zerg in the top leftish position, or topish left position on Tau Cross, going up against the green Zerg Microwave down at the bottom. Tau Cross is a 3-player map on the ice. What do you call it? The tile set. I don't quite think that's the word I was trying to think of, but that is the word that I'm going to go with. So Microwave is going with a, what looks like a 9-hole, I believe. Going ahead and also getting an extractor. For Steamhammer, they seems to have done the extractor trick to get an extra drone. Going to go ahead and actually, why is Microwave at 9 of 9? Oh, because he was producing a drone. Okay. I was confused. I'm like, why is the supply not matching with the drone count when all they can build is drones right now? So they've both scouted to the wrong base with their overlords, but and they both have sent drones out to the actual correct mains. And now we have different sized Zergling armies coming out, which ZVZ games can sometimes end very quickly if the early Zergling engagement goes badly for one player or the other. Microwave sees the force that is coming in here and is going to go ahead and retreat, but some free hits are happening here on the Zerglings. Go ahead and get this zoomed in more on this action. Now, I don't know if this drone is... Okay, a couple of free hits there on some Zerglings. Going to a choke point here. That drone... Nope. Okay, we're just... Steamhammer's Zerglings just taking some more hits. a very large Zergling force now out for Microwave. We've got more Zerglings, though, joining in the fight joining the army for Steamhammer, and now they're all still retreating. Deciding that was not the time to engage. It looks like they're both doing some similar builds here as they're both expanding to their naturals right now. Looks like Steamhammer started his sooner. May have been, though, because he had those Zerglings in the face of Microwave. Now we do have an engagement. No, a very nice surround there by Microwave. Well, not a full surround, but was able to get more area to deal more damage with the Zerglings against Steamhammers. Microwave being a little bit cheeky there with the chat, which they sometimes do, which unfortunately is not displayable through the OpenBW replay viewer. Now, Microwave did run into the main here and take out the majority of drones. Steamhammer just down to 3, trying to keep them alive as best as it can, but it looks like this is gonna be it, folks. That drone, the last drone falls. There's no money to replace the drones. No more Zerglings to defend, no Sunkens, and so Steamhammer calls the game and taps out, giving it to Microwave. So we have here Nightcat T spawning as the Brown Terran on the right of Icarus, going up against Brian Weber, the White Zerg, at the bottom of Icarus. Well, you we'll have that sometimes, where things will not go right with what you want to have happen. I don't think I've seen Brian Weber do that before, but we'll just go ahead and jump into next game here. And so here we have Banana Brain, the teal Protoss, on the top of Python, going up against Insanity Bot, the orange Terran, which always at certain angles looks brown to me. Down at the bottom left of Python. So Insanity Bot making a second appearance today, just by random chance. And here we have Banana Brain going for a looks like an in-base pylon, so probably not going to do a fast expand, as Insanity Bot is going for barracks. It's to be expected, and going ahead and scouting. Banana Brain has scouted where Insanity Bot is, getting that early gas as you want to as Terran when you're going tech. And setting up a block with the pylons, with the probes, denying the scout. What is Banana Brain up to? I suspect we're gonna see like a fast like Dark Templar play here. Yep, so we had the gate core, now another pylon. So what are we gonna see here? Watching for the cyber core. Meanwhile, looks like Insanity Bot got its bunker in the natural and is pumping Marines to fill that bunker. And yep, there's the Citadel of Adun. So we are hiding our technology by blocking the ramp with our workers and going for Dark Templar. So this will be exciting to see. Watching Insanity Bot here getting depot, a factory. I don't see an engineering bay yet. I don't see an academy for Comsat, so getting a second factory now for Insanity Bot, so we might be in some trouble. Now, what I find interesting about what Insanity Bot is doing is that it went ahead and got up and it readjusted its units for having now a Zealot there to help block as well. Pulling the probes back now, as we have 2 Zealots, which should be able to block the ramp up and killing the SCB. Now, as I was saying, what I find interesting about what Insanity Bot is doing is it went and got its bunker at the choke of its natural while not expanding to its natural. You would more so want to put that bunker there if you were going to go ahead and... Oh, we're going with a shuttle as well with the DT. Looks like it does not have a Dark Templar yet, though 2 are about to complete. And it's going to go ahead and load them up here. And so... But We do have the 4 vultures now getting into the main, the zealots falling back, falling. Gonna go ahead and slow it down because we're gonna have 2 different battlefields to watch here. Although a Dark Templar is going to be built in the main at some point, we do have the Dark Templars now coming into the Terran base here. Dropping down, going to snipe the SCVs. Just going to replace the SCVs on gas that are getting killed, targeting the ones that are doing gas. But the engineering bay is going to lead soon. We did have a Dragoon pop out, which is going to be able to, I think, handle these vultures. They can't really path very well to the probes, which might be what they're trying to do, or maybe they're just trying to kite, but the base is pretty tightly packed there, and these... While the engineering bay finished, the Dark Templar were able to just go to town on the SCVs, while the Natural was getting started here. Insanity Bot not able to do anything. I don't know. I didn't see it get mined, so I guess it's not able to lay those against it. No detection. Was able to repel the attack. That was actually pretty interesting how the 4 vultures were able to get in there and cause some concern. But ultimately, the production that Banana Brain did was able to push that back. Got a shuttle, empty shuttle here, but it's always a threat. Could have a Reaver in it, but that would be pretty tech heavy off of one base to go Dark Templar and then Reaver. But yeah, at this point now, Banana Brain's just got to clean up what's left. Staying back due to the bunker, which does have Marines in it. Getting another engineering bay, try and deal with the Dark Templar, but they're just going to come in here now, along with the rest of the army, and they should be able to finish this off and then clean up the rest of the building. So very cool play there, having the fights on 2 different fronts, but in the end it ended up working out for Banana Brain. So we have Prism Cactus here in the top right of Andromeda as the red Protoss, which is a bot that I'm not as familiar with. Going up against Beta Star, the purple Protoss down in the bottom left of the map. Beta Star making it very far in last year's tournament, which was pretty recent. Going ahead and it looks like going for potentially a fast expand, getting the Pylon, and Beta Star, or sorry, Prism Cactus doing something similar. Now I'm not sure if Prism Cactus is based off of any previous bots, a fork of them, or not. There was no information on the SSCAIT page, but based on the record that it says it has against Beta Star, it looks like it has been around for a while. The furthest back that I could check on ELO for it looks like September of last year, I believe. And so we do have the Gateway and Forge going down, and then Prism Cactus being a bit cheeky and attacking the Pylon here. And now a Cannon and a Zealot, so the Probe's gonna back off after taking a few zaps at the Cannon there. Meanwhile, Prism Cactus did get a Forge of its own, but going ahead and getting its Nexus. And now a Cannon, so no Gateway yet, but it is going to have its expansion much faster than Beta Star's, or Beta Star, who has not started his yet. He went ahead and got also 2 cannons, but also 2 Zealots and the Gateway, so perhaps a little bit behind Prism Cactus. Oh, and got a 3rd Zealot and a 3rd cannon now. Also a 3rd cannon going down for Prism Cactus, so very similar except for timing of the Nexus. So now a 4th cannon coming down. Just in case, Prism Cactus did see that that Gateway there, so it could be possible that some aggression could be coming that it can't see since it doesn't have a scout down there. So opening done, Mind mid-game active. I'm feeling 33% good about this. A little bit of a cheeky thing there. Probes running around everywhere, lots of buildings being thrown down by Prism Cactus. We've got a core, a shield battery, another gateway, couple more probes, so going ahead and macroing up. Meanwhile, the natural Nexus is underway for Beta Star, with 3 Zealots and a Dragoon standing guard, along with the cannons. The core obviously then is down, going ahead and getting that Dragoon range, that's the word I'm looking for. well ahead of Prison Cactus. Meanwhile, Prison Cactus is taking the mineral-only third that is behind the natural. It is a safe expansion to do with the money that it has accrued. Now, it has jumped up to 3 gateways. Not researching Dragoon range yet, even though it has the money and gas available to do so. It is getting 1 more gateway and a Citadel of Adun, so it's going to be up to 4 gates. I'm a little concerned about the SimCity that is happening. Looks like it's going ahead and just blindly expanding with no defense there. Although if it's not detected, it may be able to get away from it, but Beta Star, as I remember, is very much a see an expansion, I go and kill it type of bot. So we'll see if that somewhat sneaky expansion pays off or not. Now, Beta Star being aggressive, coming in here to the cannons, decides to back off a little bit more. That Zealot being a little over aggressive there. Probe getting picked off. Beta Star deciding, you know what, yes, I am going to go ahead and attack. So, losing those 4 cannons now, but it should have the gateways and the production to be able to hold this off, but not. This army's a little bit scattered here. Now, the Dragoon's not going down to engage. May have spent a little too much money and time teching and leaving its macro buildings to sit. Does have a Reaver, though, in the shuttle, which it has only dropped once. A lot of probe deaths here. The probe count quickly falling. The army now engaging, but there's just too many Dragoons from Beta Star in the natural. More coming up to reinforce the fight here. More probes being picked off as they dance between that natural and that third. Beta Star trying to kind of march up the ramp a bit here. Or it could just have been some emergent behavior from the kiting. Nope, it is indeed going up the ramp. We'll try and get this a little bit better on screen. I know with the overlay, sometimes that bottom right corner can be a little tricky to view. And here, it looks like Beta Star has detected the third and is marching its army to clear that out. Meanwhile, there's a small force here targeting the pylons, which is great to see. Prism Cactus calling the game and leaving the game. Now, it was something that I really liked that I'm going to take a moment to point out is that Beta Star targeted the pylons, which is something I don't see a lot of bots do. Killing that one pylon here, unpowered, I believe this. Yep, unpowered the gateway, unpowered the Citadel of Adun, the robotics facility. It unpowered these 5 buildings. It could have even, when there were 4 cannons here, potentially focused on the pylon, but really 4 cannons, they're 100-100, a pylon is 400-400, so it's about the same if you target the cannons versus targeting the pylon. If there were more cannons being supported by one pylon, you would see some benefit by just going after the pylon. Although there still are some advantages to going after the cannons in that situation because you slowly damage the DPS as you destroy cannons and such, but this was just great to see the targeting of the pylons, in my opinion. So a good game by both bots. It looks like Prism Cactus was just a little bit slow to take its economic advantage and convert that into an army, allowing Beta Star to hit before the economic advantage was able to kick in. So great game from both of them. Let's go ahead and get into our next one. Here we have Sparks, the orange Terran, on the top right of Benzene, going up against Insanity Bot as the teal Terran on the bottom left of Benzene. And we're getting a lot of Insanity Bot today, it seems, from the random selection that I'm doing here out of the games. So we've got I think this is our first TVT for the night. And Sparks is going ahead and throwing down his supply depot, as well as Insanity Bot doing it way far down at the bottom here of the map. Just getting that supply out of the way. Going ahead and throwing down its bunker. Meanwhile, Sparks is throwing down a bunker at the choke for its natural, so it looks like it's going to go ahead and do some type of wall to perhaps fast expand. Here we have Insanity Bot going ahead and throwing a scout SCV out. Gas is under construction for Sparks, so everything's pretty much looking... Gas is already done for Insanity Bot. A very quick gas there. But everything is pretty much looking pretty standard so far. Scout is just seeing what's up, has seen what is up, and now maybe returning home. It sounds like a building got canceled somewhere. Perhaps by... Oh, yeah, Insanity Bot decided to cancel. I believe that was probably a bunker. Looks like he is marching forward with his Marines, so he must have decided to... You know what? I'm going to go ahead and be aggressive instead of being defensive. Meanwhile, Sparks is getting 4 bunkers here. So I don't think these Marines are going to do much. And deciding, you know what, I'm not quite crazy enough to engage that. Although, they could position themselves to hit that barracks. 3 Marines there now. Meanwhile, behind this, there is a factory being built by Sparks. It's funny, I think what the reason for just the 1 Marine in the bunker, in the forwardmost bunker here, is that a lot of bots... So you can't see, because if like you were Insanity Bot playing as a human, you would look at this bunker, you would click on it, and you would not see the Marines that are in it. So same thing with the bot, when it sees that bunker, it's not able to see what's in it, it's not able to tell if it is empty or not. The only way that you can really tell is by checking the bullets every frame and seeing if there are bullets that don't belong to any Marines that you can see, and then, you know, you can assume that it must have come from a bunkered Marine, although that can then get very complex if you are trying to deal with multiple bunkers. So I think what a lot of these empty bunkers are doing is just trying to feign strength, because a lot of bots will just see a bunker and assume that it has units in it. And it seems to have worked here, although the army that was there was not going to be able to deal with even 1 bunker with 1 Marine, pushing all the way back. Now there are 2 done here, and tanks are out, so once siege mode is finished researching, assuming that was what was being researched, he could move out and deal some damage. Now there is a 3rd that was discovered here, but a bunker is now complete, and so the Marine kills the command center and then runs away. Scared of that bunker that is there, I suppose. The SCV tried to steal some, gets away with 6 life, but now it's going to be stuck in that limbo where it wants to path away. And as you can see here, this Marine is scared of the bunker that does not have a unit in it. This is going to be a bit of a silly game. So Insanity Bot is just sitting on 1 base, not expanding. 3 factories, it looks like. Getting a 2nd barracks, or another 1st barracks. Maybe something happened to its barracks, I'm not sure. I don't see it anywhere. I know, okay, there it is. I was just not seeing it. But now it is going ahead and taking it 2nd. Meanwhile, Sparks is just getting Marines. It did get a factory, but it is not doing anything further with it. Oh boy. Now the tank army with the vultures is coming in. If they siege right, they will be able to outrange the bunkers, and they will be able to slowly push back. Now they are sieging up against the bunkers, which, again, it seems like the majority of them are empty. Gonna lose some vultures here needlessly, but I guess they are giving vision for the tanks. And then falling back, not too... okay, that one actually does have units in it too, so that's why they fell back as far as they did. Now slowly marching forward with the tanks and vultures, gonna make quick work of this hilarious bunker line here, which gets in the way of its natural too. Going to carefully march itself up. Oh, and there's even a nice little drop gonna happen here. Oh, and we got a bunch of, oh, it's going for, no. Yeah, it's gonna go for battle cruisers, but a little bit too late. The tanks were able to make it in time. Going after the factory instead of the vulture, but the units that were behind were able to take out the vulture. And so now at this point, it is just a matter of cleaning up the base. Bit of a silly TVT here. But interesting to see how the bunkers did keep Insanity Bot back until it felt like it had enough tanks to take out many bunkers full of Marines, which were actually just two of them full of Marines. So good game here by Insanity Bot. We'll jump into the next one. So here we have Newbie Zerg in the top right of Benzene up against Legacy, the Teal Zerg down in the bottom left of Benzene. Took me a moment to recognize that, even though we just had a game on it. So Legacy is a bot from the Czech Republic. Not super familiar with Legacy. I don't think I've seen too many games, so I'm excited to see what it's going to pull out here. Newbie Zerg looks like it is going for a 5 pool, whereas... Okay, we are getting... So it looks like Legacy went with an overpool, so Legacy might be in a bit of trouble, depending on the timing, but Benzene does have quite a rush distance for a 2-player map. There is some distance between these two positions here, so Legacy might have time for this pool to finish and to get some Zerglings, but it's going to be very tight, and it's going to require some good micro to stay alive. Now it is getting its Zerglings, it's also getting a macro hatchery, so if it can pull this off and survive, it is going to be in good shape. And the Zerglings are done in plenty of time, but they're going to run out. Oh, and Newbie Zerg's actually just going to retreat, which is probably in its favor there because its art units were just at a Congo line, which is not good for your units to meet up that way against the enemy. And now we have another retreat happening here, this time for Legacy, but with more Zerglings joining the fight. And they're just kind of taking turns, batting a couple at each other, and then going back and forth, with some retreating and some not. So we have ourselves a game here. Meanwhile, Newbie Zerg is still only on 4 drones, so still committed to the 4 pool, but it has a very large Zergling army, larger than Legacy right now, I believe. Legacy being forced to retreat here due to having less numbers. It would be nice to see him set up some type of concave or something in a situation to try and get better shots on Newbie Zerg to overcome. Oh, and getting... Oh! I actually think that might have been a Legacy Zergling that died there. That was hard to tell with the speed of the game. But yeah, we do have these 2 large Zergling armies dancing back and forth. Newbie Zerg taking some hits that it does not need to. Looks like it is starting to drone up again, though, or at least it got a 5th drone. But it's still producing more Zerglings and just... Oh, we're getting some engagement here, but not very favorable for Legacy, so Legacy backing off. Meanwhile, in its base, it does have 3 hatcheries, so at this point it's just committing to the Zerglings, which is probably the good move here, given that your opponent has 4 pooled, but I don't know if it actually knows that its opponent has 4 pooled because it hasn't scouted, but with the number of Zerglings, it's entirely possible that Legacy could assume a 4 pool has happened. So now we're getting this battle here in the middle, both sides trading a few Zerglings here and there, but Legacy, I think, coming out on top of it. Newbie Zerg having to back off a little bit here. This is very... losing a couple of Zerglings due to the pathing. At least losing one and then losing a second one there. Losing some more as they get caught on the side of that bridge, which is not good when you're playing a numbers game, especially when you're so low eco and only 1 hatchery. Not only are you low economy, you are low larva against your opponent who has 3 hatcheries. Getting a 6th drone now, so it looks like Newbie Zerg is maybe trying to transition out of this into something different, but at this point, I think the writing might be on the wall, but Newbie Zerg, if he can catch Legacy in a bad spot, could turn it around, but the Zerglings just keep getting caught on the side of the bridges, of the ramps, and so it's just not looking good for Newbie Zerg here. Now, nice... Newbie Zerg had a nice area of attack on Legacy, but Legacy just having the numbers to overcome it and turn that into a nice area of attack for its own Zerglings, and able to just march forward, tear through the forces, now going to tear through the drones, and this is going to be it. Game for Legacy. That was a fun ZVZ to watch with the Zergling back and forth there. The long rush distance of Benzene working against Newbie Zerg's favor. It's a great play there by Legacy to take it out in the end. So, for our final game for tonight, we have Jakub going up against Stick Z on Jade. So, Stick Z is spawning as the orange Zerg in the bottom right, which I'll have to hide the overlay to show. And Jakub is the the blue Protoss in the top right. Both words starting with B. Threw me off for a moment there. So Styx is a bit of a turtle Zerg typically, so it'll be fun to see how this plays out. Jakub uses potential fields, I believe, for building placement. It's going ahead and getting a forge first in its main. I think Jakub might actually be one of the cannon rushers as well. It's been a while, so I don't quite remember. Now, Stick Z is going ahead and getting a second hatchery here. Jakub missing out on the scouting here, with Jade being a 4-player map, it scouted the wrong locations. And the 2 Zerglings are out. It does see Jakub's base. It sees that there's nothing defending, so... Oh, and the probe that was going to find the main gets taken out. Jakub is going to try and send another one down there, but it's going to get taken out by the Zerglings in the end. I think Jakub just ended up being done in this matchup due to the fact that this is a 4-player map. Stick Z not really turtling much, I guess, by using the Zerglings here, but even still, good game by Stick Z, finding the opponent and going ahead and taking them out before they can accomplish their goal of doing cannon rushes. This shows one of the weaknesses of cannon rushes, where if you're on a 4-player map and you don't find your opponent quickly, you're not going to be able to execute it. A little bit of a silly game to end on, but that'll be it for this week. Next week, Sanka will be our host to walk us through and host our games for us there. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one, everyone.